Hey guys, it's me, Soda, and welcome to another story time. Today, I'm going to be telling you guys about my snail collecting days. Yes, snails. Those slimy things with shells that you see on the ground sometimes. And when you poke their eyes, they go... I'm not sure if they're common everywhere, but in my country, we have a lot. Especially since my family has a big garden and it's very rainy at the moment, which is when the snails will come out. We used to keep my dog's food bowls outside, and I'd walk past it at night and it'll be full of hundreds of snails and slugs. I even took a video of it last year on Instagram. What? I've always been quite fascinated with them, even now. They're just so weird. Why do they have this slimy stuff, and why do they just look like that? Why are their eyes sticking out? So this story is based years ago in primary school, the days when I actually enjoyed school. So I believe I would have been about 11 at this time. The class I was in had the best teacher I've ever had, who I talked about in my teacher's video. He was the cool teacher, and the way he taught was very different to other teachers. It was always fun and entertaining and actually like made you want to learn. So we had an empty tank in the classroom. I'm not really sure why. I think there used to be fish in it and then they just like never took it out. One day my mom was working. She worked in the garden department at the time, and she found two huge tiger slugs in a plant. Tiger slugs are pretty big, and the ones we had were like ginormous. I'm not really sure how to say how long they were because I don't know the exact length, but they were a lot bigger than my hand. We've never seen one before. She found them in some soil or something, I think. She asked me if I wanted them because I was very much into insects and animals, and I still am. So of course I said yes. I kept them in a shoebox for the night filled with dirt and lettuce. I remember putting them on my hand and they would just slither around it, and then my hand would just be like wet and sticky. I really wish I had a photo of them, but I don't think I even had a phone back then, so... Or if I did, it would have been like this. Speaking of phones, does anyone else like cringe really hard when they see like a 5-year-old with like a iPhone X? I see it so often now and it's just... Why? I first got a phone when I was like 11 or 12 or something, and it was like one of these phones. I only had it for emergencies. But now these 5-year-olds have like giant iPhones. That's why you get so many weird comments on YouTube now, because they're all like 5. So the next day I took them to school because that's what you do when you find slugs. And that was the start of the snail and slug collecting. I think it was anyway. So we used the old fish tank thing in the class and filled it with dirt and grass and all that stuff. I don't know what slugs eat, probably just like lettuce and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think we put any of that in the cage, so like, Roy was starving. But I bet you guys haven't had a class pet weirder than that. If you have though, let me know in the comments. So from then on, me and like half the class started to collect snails and slugs for the tank. Everyone would bring them home from their house, and then I remember making a big list with all their names on there, and I would even like draw a picture of them or something like that. I really wish I still had that list. I mean, maybe I do somewhere, but I'm not sure why we named them though, because like they all look the same. I made like little paper sets for them, like I made a racetrack where we would race the snails. It didn't really work though. Also like a beach set and a picnic, a fighting ring because snails fight. Yeah, they do that. Are snails even like alive? Do they even feel anything? I don't know. We had so many snails, we would spend our lunches looking for more, although we didn't often find any during the day since they're nocturnal. But our collection grew quite big. Even students from other classes started to bring them in. Although, the tiger slugs kind of just disappeared. Like the day after I put them in the tank, we never saw them again. We searched all over the tank, but they were just gone. So either some kid stole my tiger slugs, or the teacher set them free, or they slithered out of the tank and out the window. There was no lid on the tank, so that could be the case. Maybe they ran off and had babies together. Speaking of babies, we did other things, like we married 2 snails together and they quote-unquote had a child, but really we just got one of the small snails and pretended that there was the kid. Can't remember their names, but we married them outside in a big group. But I remember the day of the wedding. It all turned into a disaster. Someone dropped the groom. Maybe it was me, I don't remember. And his shell cracked, so the wedding was cancelled. He was still alive for a while, but snails die when their shell cracks because they dry up, which I only just realized because I just googled it. At the time we didn't know if he would survive or not, so we just kind of put everyone back in the tank and we just kind of watched him. But yeah, he did die. We had a funeral for him and everything. A funeral the day after his wedding. So sad. We dug him in the ground and made a little grave. I remember drawing a picture of that snail and his wife and his adopted kids. So he kept looking after them pretty much all year. I mean, we kind of eventually forgot about them, but like, they were still in the classroom all year. Until the end of the year came, we had to clean out the tank. I'm pretty sure like 70% of the snails died, and we had a lot of snails. Some probably dried up in the sun and starved to death. A lot of them probably escaped too, because while cleaning the cage, we left with way less snails than what we first had, and they could easily just escape and slither out of there. I remember one time in the middle of class we saw one of the snails in the wall, slithering for its life. I hope the survivors lived a long and happy life. Also, I just realized that snails can live a long ass time, so now I feel even more guilty for holding those snails hostage for so long. But snails weren't the only insects I was into when I was young. When I was really young, I have no idea how old, maybe like 5 or 6 or 7, I have no idea. I used to play with the ants that we had in my backyard. With this little area where there would be like a lot of ants. There must have been some kind of ant colony somewhere near there. I wouldn't collect them or anything, I would just kind of watch them, and I would like make tiny houses out of sticks and rocks and all that kind of stuff. I would spend hours just sitting there and just like making little tiny houses. And I even did the similar thing with a battle ring, where I would make like a circle out of rocks and put 2 ants in it, and they would have to fight. Believe it or not, they never did. One day, my dad poured a huge bucket of water over that area. He used it while he was painting or something, and he didn't realize that that was where my ant friends were. And I cried and cried and cried. I would also go digging around in my mom's garden and find weird insects. I remember finding a lot of centipedes. I had this little bug container thing. One time I put a daddy long legs and a centipede in there to watch if they would fight, but I don't really remember what happened, to be honest. There was one time when I found some maggot eggs, so I thought about the great idea to put them in that container and leave them under my bed until they hatch. And what do you know, I completely forgot about them, and a few months later I was like, oh wait, and I checked on them and all there was in there was a dead fly. So yeah, I'm sorry. I swore I meant no harm. I was just a kid. I wanted to have weird pets and I didn't know that you can't really do that. Me and my sister would also make fly traps because we had so many flies around our house in summer, and they would always hang around dog food. So we made little traps. We would put a little piece of dog food in there and make some kind of weird trap out of like a milk bottle or something like that. We actually caught a few flies doing that, and it was kind of cool. Sometimes I'd keep them for a while and they would actually live for kind of a long time. There was another time where I found a dead mouse in our backyard that my cat probably killed, or my dog, I don't know. And of course, being myself, I asked my parents if I could keep it in a jar in my room. You see, I wanted to be a scientist when I was little. I had like jars of like dead insects, and one of them had a dead frog in it that a friend gave me, and I really wanted to be a scientist. You guys remember that movie Close Chance for Meatballs? That one was my shit, alright? That was my movie, okay? I wanted to be like Flint Lockwood. My mom was like, no way. My dad was like, yeah, why not? So I kept it for like a day until it stunk out my room and had to throw it out. But it was quite interesting keeping it there. I remember it had little maggots in its eyes and I thought it was so fascinating. I don't know why I was like that. I was just so interested in that kind of stuff, but now I would just, no thank you, I don't want a dead animal in my room. So yeah, I think that's all. One day I should make a video of like weird things I did as a kid or something like that, because every animator does that, but there's a lot of weird things I used to do. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've been working on it for a long time. I've spent so much time animating this. Yeah, I mean, that's why there's a lot more detail in a lot of the animated scenes. Like, I colored most of them. The snail scene took me a lot longer than you probably think, but it was really fun. Sorry for the lack of videos. I've just been working on this. It's been a busy few weeks lately with like family stuff and all that fun stuff, you know what I mean? My anime, things that happen in anime or whatever video has like over 200,000 views in just a month, and I don't know why, but it makes me really happy that people are liking my new stuff. So thank you guys so much. It really means so much and it helps me so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've said so much a lot, haven't I? I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!